Well, hello everybody. I am Aaron Sutton. I am the driver of the number 97 Saturn that is owned by my father, Mark Sutton, from the Sutton Racing Team. And I would like to conduct an interview and let you all in on the inside of me. It sounded a little weird, but I'm not going to rephrase it. I had some people write down some questions, and this is what I got. So, question number one: when did you start racing? That's a pretty flat out there question. I started racing when I was in 8th grade. I was 14 at the time, and I started racing a 89 Ford Probe, 1989 Ford Probe. That ended up being crap for the people that know. The next question is, why did you get into racing? Well, I got into racing because I was taken to the racetrack for as long as I remember. I think it was around 3 when I first started going, and I started going to Bureau County Speedway, and I loved the thrill and the excitement of the cars and drivers and everything that went into it, and it intrigued me. So I I wanted to start racing just like them. Do you have any heroes, and if so, who are they? My own father is one of my own heroes, and uh, a guy that my dad used to pit for when he was racing goes by the name of Cookie Wetzel, if nobody knows. And from from a famous standpoint, NASCAR drivers or whatever you would think would be famous. Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Jr. is a pretty good inspiration for me. I don't know if they're heroes or not, but they have a big impact on who I am as a driver and why I want to drive. What track did you start racing at? Where do you race now? If you technically want to get involved with it and everything and go back through the history, I technically started racing at Bureau County Speedway in Princeton, Illinois. I raced a motorbike, electric motorbike, I guess. It's not a motorbike, but electric motorbike. And it was a little yellow crotch rocket, and I gotta think back now. Uh, I was point leader throughout the whole thing, and I ended up winning. I got a small little trophy, and I was a 4th grader. I think I was 11 at the time when this happened, and then a few years later, I guess it'd be 4 years later, 8th grade came around when I was 14, and I got moved up from that little motorbike to a real race car at the age of 14. So, I guess you could say I started racing at Bureau County Speedway in Princeton, Illinois, and then I started racing actual cars at LaSalle Speedway in LaSalle, Illinois, and that's where I race now mainly. This past season, I've been to Peoria. For past few seasons, I've been to Peoria and Moline. My first year, I raced Moline just about full time, just as well as LaSalle, but I race LaSalle mainly now. So that's I guess that's the answer to that question. What is your most memorable moment? Well, there is a few of them. The rollover in 2012 that I had in turn 1 and 2 at LaSalle Speedway. That's one of the things I remember most about the last few years. um, 2011 was a pretty good year. That's when I got my first win, and that's a pretty memorable moment. Not because I won, which is I remember that, but um, it's what I did after I won. I was so excited, but yet I was so like, I need to get my car inspected because you got to inspect your tires and stuff to make sure you're not cheating, and then they'll allow you to win and everything. So I was so worried about that I forgot to get my picture taken after the race, and I had to go after all the races that night, and at the end of the night get my picture taken. So that was probably the most memorable moment because it's talked about a lot. Silly mistake. Um, Next question is, how long have I been racing? If you haven't figured that out by now, after all the information, I've been racing for 5 seasons, 4 years, I think it would be, since I started in 2010, and it's 2014, and we're coming up on a new season. The 2014 racing season hasn't started yet, since it's, I think, February 13th, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Ooh. What is your favorite class, and what class do you race in? I get this question a lot about what I race, and then people laugh, but I think it's one of the more race cars, and I race in the four-cylinder division. And the four-cylinder division is probably one of my favorite classes of all time, and the street stock would probably be a close second. Uh, I like the street stocks and four cylinders because people are more racy in them. I mean, you see a lot of action. They dare to do more things, and they're real cars. They're cars. They are. They're not these fabricated things that you can't go buy on the street. I mean, a street stock, they are fabricated stuff, but they come from real cars, unlike late models and modifieds, which they do in a way come from real cars, but not necessarily as much as the street stocks and four cylinders do. I get this question a lot, and people laugh at me about this too. How many wins do I have, and how many? I have two, and they laugh at me when I say that they're heat race wins. So I have two heat race wins, but not a feature yet, and I get laughed at by that. But people don't understand how hard it is. What is the favorite thing about your favorite track? My favorite track, obviously, is LaSalle Speedway, and there are many things, many things that I like about the racetrack. The easier question would be is what don't I like about the racetrack, and there's not much that I don't like. I like just about everything. There isn't anything that I really don't like. So I would have to tell you that LaSalle Speedway is probably a racetrack that is really hard to find flaws unless you're a really critiqueful person and like to call out every bad little thing. I'm not like that. I think the racetrack's pretty wonderful. Who is your favorite competitor in your class? Um, all of them. I like to compete against all of them, but there are a few people that stick out, like Jerry Ledger and Don Slover. They're pretty good to race with. Josh Miller and his brother Eric Miller. They're pretty fun to race with. I race with them a lot. So they're guys that I like to race with. I'm around them more, and we all pit together. So we're all pretty close. We're kind of like NASCAR drivers. Everybody knows everybody in the garage, and you all speak to each other, or at least you try to, and you try to see what's going on to the racetrack at all times, and try to give a little heads up where ruts are, or if it's sloppy out on the racetrack, or if it's real dry and dusty. You try to give everybody heads up on what's happening. So they're just about everybody is fun to race with. Are you still a fan and enjoy watching the other classes? I am definitely still a fan. You don't go from fan to race car driver and never quit being a fan. You're always a fan. So, and I like to watch all the classes. Anything racing, I get involved with. So, that's something that you never grow out of. I mean, you see NASCAR drivers watch other guys qualify, and for one, they want to know where they're going to be starting, and two, the racetrack, and then also they're friends. Most of the guys are friends, and they like to root on each other, even if they are the competitor on Sunday. But that's usually how that goes too. So that concludes this interview with questions. There are more questions. I'm gonna go page at a time. I got a couple pages here that people have asked questions. I'm gonna try to get more people to ask me questions to see if they want to contribute to these videos and get an inside look at Aaron Sutton, the race driver. There are going to be questions in the next video about my personal life and what I do away from the racetrack. So stay tuned, come back into for that, and we'll catch you all later. Keep on rocking, and we'll catch you on the flip side of everything. So goodbye, everybody.